Walking down the corridor of the old house, I kept looking at the mural drawn on the walls. The mural that once proudly reflected the talent of its artist was now just covered with dust. While walking and admiring the art, my eyes fell on a particular piece. I stood in front of that piece and traced my fingers along its border. This art piece was the artist's particular favorite. It was a rainbow between two people, which acted as a bridge between them. As I continuously traced my fingers along the border of the mural, a spurt of emotions erupted inside me, a variety of emotions all at once. After taking deep breaths, trying to calm myself down, I sat down in front of the mural and took out my phone. My home screen glowed with the wallpaper of two boys holding a freshly caught fish and laughing. Shaking off the emotions that were again trying to overpower my thoughts, I quickly took a photo of the mural and sent it to someone with the caption, "Your painting is covered with dust. Won't you clean your love?" Without even waiting for a reply, I put my phone back inside my light blue jeans, which I had stolen from the man I had just texted. After brushing my fingers over the jeans, I looked at the mural once again. For some more time I kept looking at the wall, and slowly a proud smile adorned my face. After making sure that I had stored every nook of the mural in my memory, I got up and went to search for a broom. On finding one, I came back and cleaned the wall as much as I could. Placing the broom down, I sent a picture of the now clean mural in the same chat. "I did your work. You owe me one." Giving the wall a final glance, I walked to the bedroom at the end of the corridor. After reaching the bedroom, I stopped in front of the closed door and contemplated whether to enter or not. I wanted to rush in and feel the warmth of the place, but I questioned whether I had the right to do so. After much contemplation and self-blame, I decided to enter the room. While one hand reached for the phone in my jeans, the other unlocked the door. I sent another text in that chat, "I am entering your room without your permission." Upon opening the door, I felt a sudden gush of cold wind pass by me. A slow, pinching pain began to grow in my heart. As a shiver ran down my spine, I staggered 2 steps back. Grabbing the door, I tried to regain my balance. When I felt I was steady enough, I walked inside the room, my brother's room. Looking at the paintings that decorated the walls, I couldn't help but give a proud smile. While going through my brother's artwork, my eyes suddenly fell on the PlayStation that lay broken on the bed. I sat down on the bed and picked up a broken piece. Suddenly, a memory came rushing to my mind. I let my brain play that memory like a tape recorder, ignoring the consequences. It was December 2019. I had returned home for my winter vacation. Since it was the last day of the year, my brother and I had decided to celebrate New Year's Eve with a movie marathon and some food. We had just started the second Avengers movie when my younger brother, James, said he had to confess something. I paused the movie and turned towards him. I noticed that James was continuously rubbing his hands, his habit when he was anxious, which he usually wasn't. It only meant that James had something important to say. I patiently waited for my brother to speak. "I love someone," James finally confessed after a period of silence. Hearing what my brother had said, I laughed. "Oh God, you scared me. I thought it was something serious." "It's fine. It's the age to fall in love," I said between my laughter. James looked surprised at my reaction. Seeing me so relaxed, he then decided to continue what he was saying. "And that person is a boy." As soon as he said this, the laughter that had echoed in the room stopped. Now it was my turn to be shocked. Suddenly the atmosphere turned heavy. I kept looking at my brother, trying to process what I had just heard. I couldn't decide what to say or how to react. It wasn't something simple that I could laugh off. For the next few minutes, there was complete silence between us. While trying to organize my thoughts, I looked at James, who had his head down and whose body was shaking. I knew at once that my brother was crying. "Brother, I'm sorry," James said, still crying. I felt bad hearing my brother say sorry. I soon realized that my silence might have made James feel that he had done something wrong. Moving closer to him, I gave him a hug and said, "Why are you saying sorry? You haven't done anything wrong. Then you're not angry with me?" James looked at me with tears in his eyes, trying to read my expression. In return, I gave him a small smile. "Why should I be angry? You haven't done anything wrong," I said in a calm voice. "You were silent. I thought you were angry. I'm not. And I don't even have the right to be angry. It's your personal life. You decide whether you love a boy or a girl. No sooner had I said these words than James pulled me into another hug and cried even harder in my embrace. I thought you wouldn't accept me the way I am. I thought I would be left alone. After all, I'm not normal. My heart broke when I heard what James said. My brother had been scared and alone all this time, and I hadn't been there for him. I felt like an ignorant brother. James, you are normal. Just because you love a boy doesn't mean you're not normal. In our society, same-sex love is uncommon because people don't come out. Just because it's uncommon doesn't mean it's not normal. Slowly pulling him out of my embrace, I looked into his eyes and said sincerely, "It's always fine to be your true self. You don't have to be scared of what people will say or whether they'll accept you or not. It's your personal life. As long as you're happy and not hurting anyone, you can do what you want and love whom you like. Be happy, little brother. That's what matters." Seeing the tears in James's eyes, I had also started crying. I once again pulled him into my embrace and softly patted his back. I won't deny that I was scared and worried for James. It would be a difficult path ahead. But I knew that I would always be there for him and help him stand strong. By the time the memory finished playing, I could feel tears building up in my eyes. Whenever I thought of this moment, I felt even more proud of my brother. Coming out about our own sexual orientation is never easy, not even to our family members. It takes a lot of courage to accept ourselves and show our true selves in front of others. I was glad that James had accepted his real self and had even come out in front of me. Once again, I sent a text to the number that had yet to see my previous messages. "It may sound cringy, but I'm always proud of you, little brother." I started looking around the room again. Even though I had come to this room several times, I still wanted to look at everything. Soon my eyes landed on the superhero figurine kept on the study table. Picking it up, I sat down on the bed. The color had faded, the left hand hung loosely. Even though it looked like garbage, it was still James's most prized possession. As a child, he was very artistic and creative. He loved painting and hated studying. But just for a figurine, he was momentarily ready to give up painting and focus on his studies. He was in the 3rd standard when he got hooked on a superhero show and wanted its figurine. Just for this figurine, he had studied day and night. When he scored 95% in his exam, the first thing he did was go shopping with father and buy it. Since that day, whenever he was asked what he wanted to be when he grew up, he would say, "I will be a helper who hides in his room and helps the superhero save the world." When asked why he wanted to be the helper and not a superhero, he would smile and say, "Everyone wants to be a superhero. And I want to be different from others." Taking a picture of the figurine, I sent another message to the same number. "I'm taking it with me. You're not even here to take it away. Come back if you want it." Putting the phone on the bed, I brought the figurine closer to my heart. Slowly I leaned back and lay on the bed. Closing my eyes, I let another memory play in my head. That day, we both had drinks in James's apartment. Despite living in the same city, we hadn't seen each other for weeks. I was busy with work and James was busy with college. Since the next day was Sunday, I had decided to stay overnight at his place. By the time I reached, it was already 8 in the evening. I entered James's apartment with my spare key and found him sitting on the floor with an upset expression. He was so lost in his thoughts that he didn't even realize someone had entered the house. "Hey, what are you thinking?" I asked James, sitting down opposite him, my voice laced with concern. Hearing my voice, James snapped out of his trance with a start. When he saw me, he gave a small smile. "Nothing. When did you come?" He tried to assure me that everything was fine, but his voice gave him away. "Just now. Don't try to change the topic. Tell me what it is." I gave my brother a serious look. Knowing he couldn't hide it, James let out a sigh and replied, "Same old. Again a fight with mom and dad." "Again?" I asked him in a frustrated tone. I wasn't surprised anymore. Since the day our parents had accidentally found out about James, the relationship between my parents and my brother had become strained. They couldn't accept that James loved a boy and a big fight broke out. From then on, no decent conversation took place between my parents and brother. James and I tried to mend the situation, but it only ended up getting worse. In the end, James just left the house. Even after leaving the house, sometimes our parents would call James to convey some rituals or do something with the hope that he would change. And again, the conversation would end with James begging them to let him live his life and them shouting at him. And today's phone call was no different than others. They wanted me to go to a church and confess my sin so that God could forgive me. Someone told them that if I do it, I'll be cured, James said, getting up and bringing the pizza and drinks he had ordered. And who suggested such an idea? Even though I knew, I still wanted to confirm. Of course, our relatives. Apparently they're worried about me. Those fake worries that hide their love for gossip underneath. We brothers were well aware of the intentions of our relatives. They only loved to gossip, and that is the main reason why they always called our parents and feigned their concerns. Our parents didn't even try to understand the underlying intentions and just spilled everything in front of them. They also knew about James's boyfriend and would sometimes call James just to ask if they were doing okay. But their main intention was to mock him. You know what's worst? They even made one of the cousins ask me whether I had some issue down there. They thought maybe because of that issue I had decided to have a boyfriend, since I wouldn't be able to do it with a girl. Hearing every word James said, I could feel my blood boil. I had never thought our relatives would fall so low. I was so angry that I crushed the can I was holding. I looked at my brother and found him calmly looking at the ceiling. How can you be so calm? I was getting even more frustrated looking at my brother's calm expression. What should I do? When my parents don't even support me, how can I say something to them? James replied with a shaky voice. Slowly, tears filled his eyes. Tell me something. Am I not a human? Am I not normal? Suddenly, I could feel my heart stop at my brother's questions. The tears that rolled down James's cheek broke my heart even more. Yes, you are. Who said you're not? I asked him in a soft tone. I felt so angry at the people who made my brother ask such questions. Then why do our relatives treat me differently? When we meet, they don't let their children come near me. But they do have the audacity to make them call me and ask such absurd personal questions. James choked at the end of the sentence. With every word he said, he cried even more. Just because I love a guy, I'm not normal. Then tell me, what is normal? Getting a well-paid job? Marrying a person of the opposite gender? Having children? Is this what society considers normal? Tell me, what is normal? And where is this normal written or mentioned that we so religiously follow it? Isn't it all just an illusion? An illusory normal that we have accepted as real. Just because the majority follows it, we have accepted it as normal. And those who go against it or do something different are considered not normal. If this is how society works, then it's true, I am not normal. At the end, James just gave a sad smile. He got up from his seat, wiped his tears, and went out of the room. The questions James asked made me question everything I knew about society. I was dumbfounded. I didn't know how to answer. I repeated the questions in my mind again and again. My brother's hurt voice rang in my ears, and his last line just shattered my heart. Somewhere in James's words, I could feel that my little brother had accepted what our parents and relatives were trying to impose on him. He had accepted himself as someone who is not normal, according to the norms of society. Wiping my tears, I got up to look for my brother. When I found him leaning against the railing, I went and stood by his side. Sensing my presence beside him, James said something to me very seriously. Brother, I have learnt one thing. Those who follow the normal lose their real selves, and those who do not conform to the normal lose their lives. That day I had realized something. The same young, innocent boy who had wanted to be different from others when he was a child now begged to be regarded as normal when he grew up. Every single day he was hurting. He was fighting against the views of society that had labeled him as different and not normal. Every day he was pleading with his parents to accept him the way he is. The childhood wish, which once made him smile, had now broken him to the core. As soon as the memory finished playing, I opened my eyes and looked at the figurine. I could feel my tears running down my cheeks. Sitting up, I searched for my phone. I was finding it difficult to see through the tears that were continuously rolling down my cheeks. Once I found the phone, I opened the chat I had been sending messages to since I entered the house. I sent one last message before running out of the house. I'm sorry I couldn't save you. I vowed to protect you but I failed.